Aad Meher Baba ki jai. Ashok ji, we can start with the prayer. Yeah.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Universal prayer. O Parvardigar, the preserver and protector of all. You are without beginning and without end, non-dual, beyond comparison, and none can measure you. You are without color, without expression, without form, and without attributes. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, eternal and imperishable. You are indivisible and none can see you, but with eyes divine, you always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere, you are in everything, and you're also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths. You are manifest and unmanifest, on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. Karthik, can you roll over?
Yeah, I did.
I can't see that roll. 1 second. Hey, wow. What happened there?
Okay, let me continue. You are the creator, the Lord of Lords, the knower of all minds and hearts. You're omnipotent and omnipresent. You are knowledge infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all knowing, infinitely knowing, knower of the past, the present, and the future. And you are knowledge itself. You are all merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the Trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parameshwar. You are the beyond God and the beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Ilahi, Yezdan, Ahura Mazda, and God the Beloved. You are named Izad, the only one worthy of worship. We repent, O God, most merciful, for all our sins, for every thought that was false or unjust or unclean, for every word spoken that ought not to have been spoken, for every deed done that ought not to have been done. We repent for every deed and word and thought inspired by selfishness, and for every deed and word and thought inspired by hatred. We repent especially for every lustful thought and every lustful action, for every lie, for all hypocrisy, for every promise given but not fulfilled, and for all slander and backbiting. Most especially also, we repent for every action that has brought ruin to others, and for every word and deed that has given others pain, and for every wish that pain should befall others. In your unbounded mercy, we ask you to forgive us, O God, for all these sins committed by us, and to forgive us for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more, and still yet more, until we become worthy of union with you. Help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Karthik, it did come, but it came with the time lapse. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Jai
Now
Baba.
is it
Karthik,
better, the time lapse?
Yeah, now it's better.
Yeah,
in the
Sanjay, you were
last
saying something.
the last play in the last prayer, we
Yeah.
should find out what is the it is until or till in the original text, which is authorized by the trust. I think it is till, but I am because Normally, I've been pronouncing as till we become worthy of. Let's check it out. Yeah.
Union.
Never.
This one.
It's not
This
until, it is till.
and yet more cinema.
But yeah, we should check
Hudson,
it with your.
more, still yet more, till we become one. Clear. Yeah, I think it's still.
Till, yeah. Yeah. About.
Let me check that. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so session number 34, and we are in Satara. Okay, so the last time, in the session that we did last time, we were reading about Ghani and a session where he answers about Nirvana and answers questions from the general public in a discussion. So that's where we'll continue from. Ashokji, if the rolling up and the sharing is working better now, would you like to read for some time? Sorry, your this one got cut off. The prayer.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's okay. That's Baba's wish. I'm okay with reading.
Excellent. So let's start with where we marked last time. And by the way, we are on the physical page 271. Please go ahead from during the. Thank you. Jai Baba.
During the meetings at the center, Ghani encouraged all sorts of questions, even if they reveal the boys' ignorance. He, however, definitely asked them to be sincere and honest in understanding Baba's statements. He would also bring home to them the limits of human understanding. He said to them, "At present, you are like coals that have just caught fire, giving out smoke and sparks. That's natural. Baba willing, if and when you are completely ablaze, the smoke, the questions of why and how will cease of itself. In later years, with the growing conviction in Baba's divinity, the group slowly lost interest in dry intellectual discussions and began spending more time in singing the glory of the God man. A Persian couplet states, अकल को आस्ताने दूर नहीं, इसके तकदीर में हजूर नहीं. Although the intellect is not far from the threshold of God, it is not blessed with the fortune of having a glimpse of the God. उसके तकदीर में हजूर नहीं. The God, it is not blessed with the fortune of having a glimpse of the God. At Pune, there were also a few other disciples of Baba, like Khak Sahib, Kadikar, Sule, and Beli Irani. They would also frequently visit Hare's place and would relate Baba stories which were helping and clearing up the youngsters' questions. The boys gathered from them that love for Baba surpasses all spiritual disciplines. Bailey related a funny episode of the early years. Once Baba visited Bailey when he was on the point of taking poison after being disappointed in a love affair with a girl. Baba's timely visit dissuaded him from committing suicide. Baba had a fierce and intimate talk with him and asked Bailey to sit in it. Stood at a little distance from Bailey and most unexpectedly commenced revolving on the spot faster and faster. This surprised Bailey. But as he continued to watch Baba, he felt that the person spinning like a top wasn't Baba, but the girl he loved. Baba stopped after a while, made no comment, but immediately left the place. Bailey, however, learned to love Baba was to love all. The God man is the eternal beloved of everyone. Ghani also recounted different incidents from the lives of the mandali, revealing their intimate relationship with Baba. He also depicted how each one was different from the rest, except in his rock-like faith in and love for Baba. These anecdotes were not recorded in any of the diaries, as they were more of a personal nature. So Ghani would humorously refer to each of these stories as inner boxing. He also told them many inspiring events from the lives of perfect masters and saints who had Vedantic as well as Sufic backgrounds, to emphasize the fact that Baba was the expected one. Ghani once read out to them the following words of Baba from, from the viewpoint of divine gnosis. The Muslims progress from oneness, while the manyness, kasrat, and the Hindus from manyness to oneness. That is, the Hindus and Muslims represent the extreme and opposite points of a diameter of a circle with God as a center. Zoroastrianism is midway between the two extremes, and hence the choice at this juncture of a Zoroastrian form in me as the vehicle of spirituality derived from Hindu and Muslim sources. Cross reference 8. Meher Baba Journal, December 1940, page 107.
If I can pause you here, so what is Baba saying here? What does he mean by progress from oneness to manyness? I'm very curious. I've always wondered on contrasting between the two religions, right? Islam and Hinduism. So I can relate to the description of Hinduism where it says manyness to oneness. So basically, the symbology that we use of many gods is a way of convenience, and the structure that is recommended to
Only me who can't hear Karthik because I can't hear Karthik.
yeah. Yeah. So I think there was a network issue on my side. Apologies. The point I was making was in Hinduism, the structure that's used is the symbology of many gods is a way of convenience to help the human mind understand and finally get to the symbology or the fact that there is only one God, right? So, what I'm struggling with is how does the manyness be represented in Islam? I'm not sure. I don't know enough. If anybody has some thoughts, we can discuss. Else, we can continue. Also, if there's a thought on how Zoroastrianism is midway between the two, it would be good to know. Anybody has a view? Okay, so maybe it's a tough one.
No, really.
So, yeah, I think it's a tough one in the sense. So, if you look at Islam, they start from the point of the formless unitary God, right? So, if Allah is the only one and only God, and He is formless, and I don't know how it gets to manyness. So, It's a very curious. I'm very curious about that, but that's fine. So, yeah, let's continue then. Shukji, you're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah. Here I would like to mention. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, please. Go ahead.
Here I would like to mention that in this Advent, the avatar of the age chose the English language to explain spiritual truths. This indicates that Meher Baba is also for the Westerners, among whom many a good among whom a good many are Christians. As for Buddhists, I am reminded of a particular incident which I heard lately. One of the mandali once reminisces that while visiting one of the caves at Ellora, which enshrines a statue of Lord Buddha, Baba gracefully pulled out the alphabet board that he was holding under his arm as three words. He spelled out only three words: I am Buddha. And all felt that the entire cave was resounding with Baba's statements. Baba did not convey anything more but left for the next cave. All these statements eventually signify that Meher Baba is equally for all. The informal talks with Ghani gradually helped the Pune group to accept Baba wholeheartedly on his terms as God in human form. When this young band got the news of meeting at Mahabaleshwar, all felt extremely happy. They jumped at the opportunity of being in Baba's Sevas on October 17th. Thus, this particular circular from Adi became the harbinger of glad tidings to many Baba lovers who were eagerly waiting the chance to see him. At the beginning of October 1950, Baba left Mutha's villa in Satara for Aga Khan's spacious bungalow in Mahabaleshwar, where memorable meetings of the lovers with the beloved was to take place. Sermon on the Mount at Mahabaleshwar, 1950, Part 6. Coming down to the old life, a few hundred Baba lovers, men only, arrived at Mahabaleshwar, a hill station in Maharashtra, from different parts of the country on October 16, 1950. They were expected to be present at Florence Hall by 6:45 a.m. the next day. Some of the hotels in the town were crowded with Baba people, and these began to, bus- to bustle with activity in the early hours of the 16th as everyone hurried through his morning course. By 6 a.m., with clean clothes, happy faces, and expectant hearts, the Baba lovers walked along the quiet roads leading to beloved Baba's residence. He was already present in the open yard in front of the men's quarters by the time they reached there. Baba was in the new life, yet all witnessed him the same divine glow of the old life. He was standing on the veranda, and small groups of visitors were waiting at a distance for his call. After a while, according to Baba's instructions, every congregant was allowed one by one to approach him. Each one, irrespective of their previous years of contact with Baba, was introduced to him by Adi. It seemed Baba had severed his connection with his lovers during the new life phase. or was it a blessed excuse to allow them to have an embrace? After a brief introduction, Baba embraced each one with much love, and its sanctifying warmth kindled the hearts of all. At the close of this reception, Baba directed all to get inside an enclosure which was formerly used as a stud farm for race horses by Aga Khan. In one of the wings of this meeting house, there was an ordinary chair which Baba occupied. Near him sat the new life companions. Dr. Ghani was asked to sit on his right. The visitors occupied their seats silently. Baba looked at the assembly of his lovers and asked them to be comfortable and at ease. Before commencing the work of the meeting, Baba directed Vishnu, one of the mandali, to close the big, broad gate of the stable. As Vishnu reached the gate, he noticed as Vishnu reached the gate, he noticed at a distance good old Gustaji, one of Baba's companions, still walking towards the gate. Perhaps he had gone out to urinate. Respecting his age, Vishnu waited for him to come in. But during this short interval, another two or three people also slipped in. After Gustaji's entry, the gate was shut and both left together to join the assembly. During this small interval, during the small interval of Vishnu's exit and entry, the congregants were sitting in front of Baba and the air of delightful feeling prevailed. All had their attention focused on Baba. Some were looking intently at him as he
Did we lose him? Or is it my connection?
Yeah, we lost him. You're audible.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let me continue
Please
reading.
continue.
During this small interval of Vishnu's exit and entry, the congregants were sitting in front of Baba, and an air of delightful feeling prevailed. All had their attention focused on Baba. Some were looking intently at him as he sat there. His mystical dignity and profound divinity passing his fair features, especially his gestures. His casual glances pierce the hearts of his dear ones. It is hard to state what actually transpired during the informal, personal inquiries made by Baba, but it was clear that the inner revelations experienced by the Baba people were enormous. Some, with tears silently streaming from their eyes, communed quietly with the divine beloved. Baba, with his loving and overpowering presence, seemed to have touched the depths of their hearts. These were the preliminaries of that momentous meeting. But at this point, the uninvited people who had sneaked in directly approached Baba and, not knowing his injunction, bowed down to him with due reverence. Baba reciprocated this action by pressing his forehead against the feet of each. Astonished, the people repeated the act of paying respect by prostrating themselves before him. This made Baba all the more displeased. According to the conditions of the new life, he returned their homage the way they offered it. All those who were witnessing this were taken aback by surprise. Just then, some people explained to the visitors Baba's special instructions and brought home to them that be it would be not only right but beneficial for them to remain quiet and act as Baba would ask them to do. They were convinced and obeyed Baba's order to leave the enclosure at once. Baba now called Vishnu and asked why he had been late. He told Baba that he had to wait for good old Gustaji to get in. But in this act of solicitude, he had failed to obey Baba literally and instantly. This lapse on Vishnu's part had allowed the uninvited people to enter without his knowledge. Baba had been upset by their presence. Whenever Baba called any meeting, big or small, he was particular that only those who were invited attended, and this gathering was no exception. Baba, in the presence of all, severely admonished Vishnu for not being prompt in obeying his order. Even if you had seen God approaching the gate, you are not supposed to wait for him to enter, gestured Baba sternly. Even if he had slapped Vishnu, the displeasure on Baba's face could not have been more obvious. He was in an exceptionally Jalali, fiery mood. Vishnu, however, stood there quietly in total surrender to Baba's rebuke. This unexpected happening changed entirely the atmosphere of gaiety at the meeting. Vishnu admitted his fault, and to the assembly, his behavior was an example of the life led with Baba in his new life. In all the different aspects of this life, obedience, complete surrender to the wish of the companion, was the first and foremost requisite expected of each one accompanying him. This episode did not end with Baba chastising Vishnu. He openly asked some of his lovers whether it was right for him to lose his temper. And without waiting for any reply, he motioned to one of his devotees to slap him. This particular person felt so nervous that he hardly hit Baba's cheek. Baba was not pleased with this tender touch. He continued, "Is that the way you slap when you punish someone?" He then asked one of his dear ones from Karachi, Pakistan, to do the job properly. He at once rose up and gave such a harsh sounding slap to Baba that the visitors were astounded to see Baba's face turn red. Baba, however, looked very pleased, and this enhanced the radiance about him. The meeting had not yet begun in earnest. Some who were sitting at the back did not realize what had come to pass in quick succession. Various were the reactions in the minds and hearts of those who closely watched this unforeseen event. It may be assumed that this whole affair was a symbolic prelude to Baba's intention of coming down to the old life from the profundity of the new life to conduct this meeting. Or humiliating his dear ones, whether of blessing or beating them, equally carries with it the secret significance of untying some of the deeper knots of the sanskaras of his devotees. Each of his gestures or actions, even when in his Jalali mood, has its origin not in any personal hostility, but in his personal divinity. With reference to such Jalali actions of Baba's perfect masters, I am reminded of a remark once made by Sri Upasani Maharaj. One day, a newly married girl visited Maharaj to offer her respects. He blessed her and permitted her to return home. The girl, however, continued to linger around him. So Maharaj asked her if she had anything special to convey to him. The bride in green sari and blouse, the conventional color preferred at weddings, shyly replied, "My mother-in-law has strictly warned me not to leave this place unless I had a beating at your hands." This, she added, I am told is the best of blessings. Maharaj smiled and said, Yes, she is perfectly right, but you can neither demand nor put up a request for it. It is not so cheap. It happens. Such intimacy is a rare fortune. Then, with a few words of advice, he sent her home. In the life of Meher Baba, we notice that only the most intimate men mandali received this precious Jalali Prasad at Baba's hands. Sometimes he severely reprimanded them, and Vishnu was surely one of his most beloved disciples. The simple, significant sermon. Baba declared that he had stepped down to the old life for this special meeting. In addition, he explained that his companions also had entered the old life. At the commencement of the meeting, Baba asked forgiveness of God for not being able to live the new life as he wanted to. He pardoned his companions for all their weaknesses and lapses committed in the new life, and in return, he asked them to forgive him if he had done anything which had hurt their feelings. Forgiveness, the forgiver, and those who were forgiven had all become one. It was a divine unifying performance. There was a fascinating grandeur of humility and of divinity in Baba's bearing. As he looked at those sitting before him, the light of love seemed to flow from him, and with his vibrant presence, he appeared to open fresh reservoirs of feeling within the hearts of his lovers. All felt very delighted and relaxed. Baba then asked Donkin to read aloud the sermon. It was received with great solemnity and eagerness. The simple words of the sermon, potent with profound significance, stole into the hearts of the audience. The first sentence, essentially, we are all one, brought to the listeners the truth that Baba, as the God man, stepped down to the level of a common man to reveal that the two, God and man, are one. The text of the sermon is given below. Meher Baba stated, Being just now in old life for these few hours, I'll tell you what I feel to be the established divine facts. And this is the core of the message. Essentially, we are all one. The feeling of our being otherwise is due to ignorance. Soul desires consciousness to know itself, but in its progress towards this goal, which it cannot realize independently of creation, it must undergo the experience which it gathers as the individualized ego and which is all imagination. Thus, it is faced at the outset with ignorance instead of knowledge. Dual forms and illusionary
Hey,
creation.
Baba, Karthik,
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
can you highlight the last paragraph of the message?
yeah, sure. I think let's read the whole message, and I think maybe it's even worthy of being read again. But
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I,
dual forms and illusionary creations are the outcome of ignorance. Birth and death, happiness and misery, virtue and sin, good and bad, all are equally the manifestation of the same ignorance. You were never born and will never die. You never suffered and will never suffer. You ever were and ever will be, as separateness exists only in imagination. Soul undergoes experience through innumerable forms such as being king and beggar, rich and poor, tall and short, weak, strong and weak, beautiful and ugly, of killing and being killed. All these experiences must transpire as long as the soul, though it is one in reality and undivided, imagines separateness in itself. When soul is bereft of the impressions of these illusionary experiences, it becomes naked as in its origin, to become now fully conscious of its unity with the big O oversoul, which is big O one, big I indivisible, big R real, and big I infinite. The soul becomes free of the binding of impressions through various paths. And love is the most important of these paths, leading to the realization of God. Through this love, the soul becomes entirely absorbed in God, ultimately forgetting itself completely. It is then that all of a sudden knowledge comes as swiftly as the lightning bolt which burns to ashes all that it falls upon. This knowledge uproots illusions, doubts, and worries, and apparent sufferings are instantaneously replaced by everlasting peace and eternal bliss, which is the goal of all existence. Soul, now free from its illusions, realizes its original unity of being. Let us not hope because this knowledge is beyond hoping and wanting. Let us not reason because this knowledge cannot be comprehended or thought of. Let us not doubt because this knowledge is the certainty of certainties. Let us not live the life of the senses because the lusty, lustful, greedy, false, and impure mind cannot reach this knowledge. Let us love God as the soul of our souls, and in the height of this love lies this knowledge. The divinely perfect ones can bestow this knowledge on anyone they like and whenever they like. Many, we all gain this knowledge soon. Beautiful message. I'm sure all of us are just pausing to take in the profundity of this message and the fact that it happened when Baba was in the uh, new life, briefly coming out to the old life in Mahabaleshwar. So I think it was a very beautiful message, no doubt about it. Okay, I continue. The Hindi translation of the above sermon was read by Deshmukh. Baba then asked everyone to get a mimeographed copy of the sermon. May we all gain this knowledge soon, was a sort of assurance from Baba that he would help his dear ones to be worthy of his gift of grace that bestows divine knowledge. The copy of the sermon that I received from Baba forms part of my personal precious Baba treasure. Casual look at this old paper brings back to my mind the whole scene in that stable, with its incidents glowingly alive. When the distribution of the copies of the sermon was over, Baba saluted all the old life disciples and devotees. This was a lesson of how one should feel obliged at the opportunity of presenting divine facts to others. Okay, let's continue. The next section is Pukar's first meeting with Baba. The gathering was then informed that those who wished to offer money for Baba's work with the poor and the God intoxicated ones could now make their contributions. It was a rare opportunity given to his lovers. This was not compulsory. No one knew what others donated. While this was happening, the audience saw a stout young man silently stand and take off all of his clothes except for his underpants, a langoti. He was Parmeshwari Dayal Nigam, Pukar of Hamirpur. Before narrating what followed, I intend to present some information as background to show what led to this spontaneous, though unusual response. In his childhood, Parameshwari Dayal Pukar was immensely devoted to Rama. The Ramayana was the book he revered and loved most. He could recite line after line from it with great devotion for Rama, the God man. After finishing his schooling, he gradually got involved in politics, especially because India was then under the British rule and he vowed to free his motherland, India. This interest in leading a spiritual life, which he had in mind as a boy, slowly receded and he became a staunch revolutionary, one of the top leaders of an underground organization. When he first heard of Baba, he thought that Baba might be a British spy trying to divert the attention of other Indians from the struggle for freedom. He also suspected that Baba might belong to that group of false masters who cheat the gullible. Besides, his mind vehemently rebelled against be, the claim Baba made of being the avatar of the age. He even decided to expose Meher Baba as a fraud. He openly expressed his views against his divinity. But in spite of his efforts, he found that a few of his close friends and relatives in Hamirpur began to worship Baba as God in human form and loved him deeply. All this made him visit Hardwar and later Dehradun to see Baba in person each time he missed Baba, however. When he reached Dehradun, Baba had just left for Satara. In the early 1940s, Pukar wrote a few letters to Baba challenging his authority. He criticized Baba's and at the same time expecting implicit obedience from his followers. In one of his letters, he rather impertinently asked Baba why hundreds of people in Bengal, one of the Indian states, should die of starvation due to a severe famine when he claimed to be the avatar. He also wondered when this could happen right under his nose in India, how he could possibly relieve humanity at large of its suffering. In those years, Baba was very busy contacting the mass, and only important letters were attended to. Pukar did not receive any reply to this letter, owing to his immature understanding of the spiritual work done by the perfect masters. He felt that Baba dared not reply to him. This made Pukar denounce Baba all the more. In spite of this severe criticism, his own relatives continued to love Baba, and he became more and more perplexed. In this state of hostile bewilderment, he learned about the meeting at Mahabaleshwar. Luckily, he received an invitation and decided to avail himself of this opportunity to solve or appease the conflict that had been raging within him for years. From the day he left for the meeting, he experienced a few coincidences which made him feel strongly that Baba was drawing him to big H him. There were also incidents that confused him, but after a while he would realize that he had simply misconstrued the facts. It could not, however, be denied that the entire journey from Hamirpur to Mahabaleshwar was a significant and even glorious event in his life. On the way to Mahabaleshwar, he participated in a gathering of Baba people at Pune. The bhajan program appealed to him so much that tears of unknown joy often rolled down his cheeks. He also heard with interest some leelas from Baba's life and was much impressed. In general, all this made him decide that if Baba was really the one he claimed to be, he would surrender his entire life to him and would not go back home. At Mahabaleshwar, on the morning of October 16th, Pukar watched Baba visitors. He was greatly moved. Baba seemed to have established a perfect rapport with everyone he met. As Pukar approached Baba, he nearly broke down. Through the tears that flowed from his eyes, many of the doubts he had harbored about Baba's divinity were washed away. In the stable, the meeting place in Florence Hall, he sat facing Baba and experienced an incredible awakening of the heart. People with love and respect started giving money for Baba's special work. As this was optional, Pukar had not previously thought of donating any sum, but on the spot he felt so overpowered that he wanted to give whatever he possessed. He took off all his garments except his underpants langoti and made a bundle of them. Before doing this, he had hurriedly scribbled a note that he placed in the pocket of his shirt along with the money he possessed. The short note read that he wished to surrender his money, body, and mind at the feet of Meher Baba, the perfect master, all in the service of the poor. In tune with the spirit of this note, Pukar, as one of the integral components of this bundle, stood on it. Then he prostrated before Baba with uncontrollable sobs. As he stood in that gathering, nearly naked, a few thought that he was deranged. Some even thought that he might be a must. It was all Baba's game. He gestured to Pukar to bring the bundle of clothes to him. Someone helped him to go near Baba. Baba looked intently at the clothes, kissed the bundle, and returned it to Pukar. Baba instructed him, "Put your clothes back on. When this meeting is over, go back to Hamirpur. Continue the work that you have been doing. But remember one thing, that formerly you were doing it for yourself. Now think that you will be doing it for Baba." In a way, this was a response to the resolution he had made at Pune. In a casual way, Baba also conveyed it is the inner attitude that counts and not its outer expression. These words of advice helped Pukar in the forthcoming years to understand that Baba's work of spiritual awakening is totally and qualitatively different from the propaganda and activities conducted by the philanthropic societies or political parties the world over. This understanding was instrumental in his withdrawing from political and social fields and offering his services in Baba's cause. At the October meeting, he had only a glimpse of Baba's divinity. The firm conviction of his avatarhood occurred a few years later. At the time of this first meeting, Parameshwari Dayal was the editor of a Hindi weekly called Pukar, dealing mostly with the political and social issues of the time. Later, this weekly was turned into a monthly called Meher Pukar, totally devoted to Avatar Meher Baba and his message of love and truth. And as Parameshwari Dayal came in closer contact with Baba, instead of calling him by his long name, Baba nicknamed him Pukar, which is how he is known to this day. When all who voluntarily wished to contribute had done so, it was declared that the money collected would be used only for the work mentioned in the earlier circular during Baba's tour beginning October 21, 1950. Wonderful experience that is recounted here. So I just thought that we'll take a pause. Any comments?
I'm sorry to Baba and sorry to the group. Something went wrong with my internet and I was cut off.
Mm,
Jai Baba.
no problem. So if there's no comments, I'll continue. In probably 10, 15 minutes, we can rotate the reading. 10 minutes maybe. Yeah. Next section is Pankraj gets married. The previous night, all the Baba people staying in different hotels were advised that if anyone had any difficulty in obeying Baba's orders, which had been given to him in the old life, he should bring that point to Baba's notice. Such people were to write their problems on separate notes, which were to be handed over to Baba the next day. After a short break, the morning session continued. Baba inquired whether all had come back. Then he allotted time to attend to these problems. As Baba learned the contents of each note, he spontaneously offered concessions or suggested adequate changes in the previous instructions. All these little alterations expressed Baba's deep spiritual insight, tempered with his sense of humor. This was most evident in the case of Pankraj, who was earlier asked by Baba to get married in his physical presence. Before coming to this topic, I wish to relate a short account of Pankraj's previous contact with Baba, which reveals Baba's omniscience in drawing his dear ones to him. In 1940, Pankraj was studying in a college at Nagpur. During summer vacation, he chanced to read some spiritual literature which impressed him so much that he decided to discontinue his education, much to the displeasure of his father. Instead of having a degree to lead a so called rich and respectable life, he resolved to be a simple aspirant and seeker of truth. He commenced leading a life of strict spiritual discipline. He took vegetarian food without salt, slept on a rough bed, maintained a day to day diary in which he wrote about his own weaknesses and made confessions. He formed a small group and prepared a code of conduct. He became a sadhak, an aspirant. This was not only a sudden but also a complete change from the life he had led in college. During his college days, Pankaj was a good sport and a keen participant in college activities. He did not then have any interest in spirituality. In fact, he used to criticize the lives of the saints. However, earlier, as a child, there had been a time when for days and months he used to repeat the name of God Rama continuously for hours. Perhaps the seeds of spirituality had thus been sown in his childhood. In July 1940, he attended a talk by Deshmukh on the need for the awakener. The awakener's, Baba's, message of love touched his heart. As he read and heard more and more about Baba, he felt that Baba was the personification of love and the embodiment of beauty. The more he became uh, the more he became one pointed in his allegiance to Baba, the more he severed his connections with his former group of semi ascetics. In 1941, he got a temporary job in his father's office, filling in for a clerk who had a 20-day earned leave. The day he received his first pay envelope, he decided to spend the money on a visit to Mehrabad to see Baba. Dr. Deshmukh told him that Baba's whereabouts were not known. He suggested to him that he get an appointment. But in his fervor to see the beloved, Pankaj was not ready to wait any longer. He boarded a train at Nagpur and got down at the Ahmednagar railway station. He had not been to this place before. However, in one of the books on Meher Baba, he had seen a picture of Meher retreat on the hill and remembered that it was by the railway track. With this meager information, he started walking along the railway lines until he reached the top of the hill. There he saw Pendu supervising some construction work. From him, he learned that Baba was not at Mehrabad and he felt very sad. Pendu, who was the manager at Mehrabad, nevertheless permitted him to stay in the ashram down the hill. It was here that after so many months he drank tea and slept on a mattress. He gradually realized that Baba expected his devotees to lead a normal life of love and service in his wholehearted remembrance without imposing unnecessary restrictions. If you get a plain meal, don't grumble. If you have a feast, don't indulge. Parading of spirituality vitiates the core of spiritual life. Coincidentally, the next morning, Baba arrived at Mehrabad and was busy calling different members of the mandali. They were meeting him after a year's absence, resulting from his extended must tours and seclusion. As they were called to receive specific instructions, Pankraj, through Vishnu, conveyed his request for darshan to Baba. But it being a phase of seclusion and special spiritual work, Baba refused to see him. Pankraj had come to Mehrabad with the intention and mental preparation of staying permanently near Baba, but he found that he was not allowed to have even a glimpse of the one at whose feet he wanted to surrender his entire life. This was quite shocking. Instead, Baba sent a message that if Pankraj could afford to, he might pay a visit to Kedgaon for the darshan of Sri Sadguru Narayan Maharaj, one of Baba's masters. This was quite an unusual instruction, but it carried hidden significance. Pankraj loved Baba, but he was very skeptical about his masters, especially Upasani Maharaj and Narayan Maharaj, because of the perverted information published in a few Marathi journals. He had neither the urge nor the money to spend on this visit to Kedgaon. This message, though not acted upon, nevertheless helped Pankraj to shed his misgivings about Baba's masters. To be able to accept Baba as Baba on his terms needs not only inner guidance, but also his grace. The denial of darshan greatly upset Pankraj. In obedience to Baba's instructions, he left the ashram but remained sitting under a tree by the roadside, asking each of the mandali going up the hill to place his case before Baba for reconsideration. He could not refrain from sobbing and weeping bitterly. After his going through a period of agony and restlessness for a fairly long time, Vishnu came with heartwarming news from Baba. Pankraj was summoned by the beloved, and in raptures he followed Vishnu up the hill. He was asked to stop at a distance of about 50 feet from Baba, who was then standing on a cement platform under a tree. He wore a silk coat and looked very radiant. In the period of special working, Baba would not allow anyone other than the resident Mandali to come closer to his person. Pankraj saw Baba, and his divine splendor stirred his soul to its depth. His joy knew no bounds. He stood gazing at Baba. Nothing was asked or conveyed orally, but his heart communed with the beloveds. After a few minutes, Baba gestured, "Isn't it enough? Now leave." On the way down the hill, Vishnu asked Pankraj some personal information about him and his family members, and especially inquired as to why he wished to stay near Baba. According to Baba's instruction, Vishnu said to him, "If Baba gives you sufficient wealth to provide for all the amenities of life, will you be happy?" "I have not come here for this," was Pankraj's reply. When this was again conveyed to Baba, he was pleased and he called Pankraj again for a second darshan. At this time, Pankraj was told that he would be called after a year or so and that Baba might then give him certain instructions which he should wholeheartedly follow. He was also instructed to return directly to Nagpur. However, before he left Mehrabad, another message communicated to him was that Baba's nazar, protective blessings, would be on him. With Baba's initial refusal to see him, Pankraj found himself in the valley of dejection. But Baba's subsequent intimate concern and loving messages lifted him up to the skies. Baba, at times, used and is still using this pushing away and drawing closer technique to awaken the hearts of his dear ones to his love. Beautiful. With a very warm heart, Pankraj left Ahmednagar. He had a passing thought to get down at Chitali to see Upasani Maharaj at Sakori, but Baba's instruction to go straight home made him drop the idea. When he got down at Busawal, he saw the connecting train for Nagpur standing on the next platform. Instead of directly getting into it, his mind lured him into walking around the city before catching the next train. What a vain thought! It was the trick of the devil tempting him to swerve from the spirit of obedience to the master. Poor Pankraj succumbed to it, and after roaming about in the city, he returned to the station, boarded the wrong train. Only after great inconvenience did he reach Nagpur, but at least the lesson he learned stayed with him for the rest of his life. Never to alter with selfish motive any of Baba's instruction. After Baba's darshan at Mehrabad, he witnessed a considerable change taking place within him. The rigidity of sadhana was replaced by liveliness. He realized that Baba's guiding hand had been silently at work during the so-called good and bad times of his earlier life. They had all been designed to lead him to Mehrabad for the darshan of the eternal beloved and the opening of a new chapter in his life. In the summer of 1942, Pankraj was specially called to Dehradun. Baba directed him to follow a few specific instructions, and this gave him a strong feeling of being accepted by Baba. The years passed by, and he came into closer contact with Baba. He wished to remain a bachelor, but circumstances took such a turn that he had to ask Baba whether he should get married or not. Baba permitted him to remain engaged to a girl, another Baba lover. The marriage, however, was to take place in Baba's august presence. Time rolled on, and Baba entered the new life. In this phase, no one from the old life was allowed to see or correspond with Baba. So Pankraj refrained from getting married. In the meeting at Mahabaleshwar, Baba permitted his dear ones to put forth their difficulties, if any, with the previous instructions given by him. In the course of the notes that were read out to Baba, Pankraj's case was also brought to his notice. Only men were invited to this meeting, so Pankraj's fiancée, though Baba lover, had not come. With a smile, Baba asked dear old Gustadji to stand up. He was to play the role of Pankraj's bride. Amidst laughter, Baba asked Pankraj and Gustadji to come closer to him and to shake hands as husband and wife. They did so, and Baba blessed the couple. He then instructed Pankraj to go home and get married in any way he liked. Pankraj wished to perform the wedding without any pomp or traditional ceremonies. So he visited the registrar's office with Tara Raje, the bride, and in Meher Baba's loving remembrance, Rama, Pankraj, and Tara signed the register. It was a human attestation to the divine registration. To this day, in their united love for Baba, the real beloved, Ra- Rama and Tara are leading a happy married life. Baba thus attended very lovingly to one and all the questions brought before him by his disciples and devotees. Rama Pankraj's case is enough, I think, to give an idea of the magnitude of the other problems presented, as well as of the love and loyalty with which Baba lovers obeyed and still obey Baba's instructions. When this item of dealing with the difficulties was over, Baba looked relieved and switched to the next subject. Okay, maybe we take a rotation of the reading, but Pankraj's story is really beautiful. So he hails from Nagpur, right? Or did he go to college at Nagpur? I didn't register. Maybe he is from Nagpur and also went to college in Nagpur, which is more likely. Okay, so anybody in a position to read Perfect Divinity and Perfect Humility?
I can read.
Please continue. Please take over. Thank you, Ashish. And thank you, Ashok ji, for reading earlier. I know you had trouble, but that's okay.
It's my internet. Anyway, my bad. And apologies to Baba and apologies.
Perfect
Ashish.
divinity, perfect divinity, and perfect humility. In the enclosure behind Baba's seat, there was a piece of cardboard displayed on the wall. In the center of its, I think that it has been moved to the left. That page has
Yeah,
been
yeah.
moved to left.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I will start from beginning. In that enclosure behind Baba's seat, there was a piece of cardboard displayed on the wall. In the center of it was pasted one of Baba's pictures. On its right side was written in bold letters, Old Life, Perfect Divinity, Divine Man, and on its left, New Life, Perfect Humility, Ordinary Man. To clarify the symbolic meaning behind these phrases, Baba had already prepared an explanation which was now read out. It it uh, it revealed how these two aspects of divinity in action get expressed through the life of the God man to fulfill his spiritual work of awakening. Baba asked Donkin to read his special message, which also included some other important points connected with his new life. With reference to the phrases old life and new life written on the board, Baba had stated in the message, if I am the one my old life disciples take me to be, I would wish them to endeavor wholeheartedly to stick to their faith and love, to carry out my old life instructions without any feeling of enforced bondage of their part, and to live a life worthy of real love, and irrespective of what I am, the most compassionate God will surely reward them spiritually, even if they do not seek reward. My old life places me on the altar of absolute godhood and divine perfection. My new life makes me take the stand of humble servant of God and his people. In my new life, I am the seeker, the lover, and the friend. Both these aspects, perfect divinity and perfect humility, have been by God's will, and both are everlastingly linked with God's eternal life. Anyone may believe me to be whatever he likes, but none may ask for blessings, miracles, or any reward of any kind. My new life is eternal. In the earlier part of this message,
Jay Baba,
Baba had
uh,
offered.
Karthik, the earlier two lines, perfect divinity, perfect humility, and then above, the paragraph above, I think that is worth underlining and also internalizing. The one which above this, sorry, I'm going behind, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which one?
yeah,
I'm
this
confused.
line, old life, perfect divinity, divine man, and on its
Yes.
left, new life, perfect humility, ordinary man. Uh, we we need to discuss this in the sense what does it exactly means from divinity to humility and from divine man to ordinary man. So Baba became like an ordinary man, helpless and hopeless.
Yes.
Thanks,
So,
thanks.
yeah, yeah, thank you. Any other specific point that you'd like to bring up? You said you wanted to discuss this. Uh, I mean, it's. I was only intrigued by one thing that comes later. It says, Baba says, "My new life is eternal," whereas he also brought the new life to an end later, right? So there was a phrase in the second paragraph. My new life, yeah, my new life is eternal. See this?
Yes, yes.
So I don't know what
There is
Baba.
another message which says, "My new life is eternal. It will be lived by the people who live by the principles of the new life." So, in a sense that he, as a avatar, the theater that he was in for that 74 years, he ended this. But he said this has to be lived by everybody of his lovers. So that's another message on new
Hmm.
life of Sai Baba. So we are expected
Yeah,
to live life like a new life. Yeah. Jai
I
Baba.
think it's something to the effect of everybody who lives this new life will make the new life eternal and so on, something like that, right? Every lover of
Yeah,
mine who,
my
yeah,
new
something
life is eternal and it will be lived by the people who
who
follow
know
the,
as per,
yeah,
correct,
something
correct.
like that.
I remember I remember what you're saying. Yes.
Even this line, divinity and perfect humility have been by God's will, and both are everlastingly linked with God's eternal life. So
Yeah.
I think this line read with the line that my new life is eternal makes more sense.
Yes. Correct. Agreed. Okay, let's continue, Ashish ji.
Sorry,
No, no, no problem. Sure, sure.
Okay. In the earlier part of this message, Baba had offered the Yeswalas another chance to reconsider their decision. On its right side of continuing to accompany him in his new life. He asked all of them to think seriously about their own weaknesses and to take an impartial survey of their past experiences before arriving at their final conclusion. About the forthcoming life, Baba clarified, if, in spite of all this, they, in bracket Esawalas, decide to
Yes,
join
Wallace.
me
Yes,
as
Wallace.
decide to join me as servants in the new life, they must know that they will have to try and obey me 100% and must do wholeheartedly whatever I want them to do. The servants' obedience to my orders must be spontaneous and devoid of any feeling of slavery or compulsion. They must carry out my wishes with a cheerful willingness without in any way feeling it an encroachment on their freedom. He also added that the conditions accepted in the first meeting of the new life at Mehrabad on August 31st remain unchanged. The gist of this message, rendered in Hindi, was conveyed to the visitors by Deshmukh. Baba again distributed copies of the message in English to all and declared a recess for half an hour. Perhaps it was intended to offer time to the Yeswalas to think over this latest proposition from Baba. This short period also provided the opportunity for each of the congregants to receive laddu in bracket a sweet as prasad from Baba. Everyone also had a cup of refreshing tea. When all gathered in the enclosure for the third time, Baba expressed his satisfaction over the duties performed despite great odds by the arrangement wallahs. Before the beginning of this session, he left the chair and went inside a room to take the oath of the new life. When he returned, he was wearing a white kafni and an orange colored satchel was hanging down his shoulder. In the new life, he had used his satchel while begging for food. As he took his seat, he declared that he had entered the new life and asked every Yeswala to announce his decision. Adi, Daulat Singh, Anna Jakal, Anna Jakal, Ali Akbar in bracket Aloba, Minnu Kharas, Babadas, Pandoba, Kishan Singh, Bal Natu, and Dr. Ghani decided to adopt the old life. Pendu, Vishnu, Erach, Nilu, Donkin, Kakabaria, Baidul, Gustadji, Murli, and Kaikobat in bracket Dastur resolved to be Baba's servants in his new life. Baba offered a prayer to God to give him strength to live the new life fully and completely as he wanted to. The Hindu, Muslim, Christian, and Zoroastrian prayers were recited by different companions the way they were offered at Satara on July 25, 1950. These prayers considerably changed the tempo of the meeting. Then followed the Kawali program. The Kawali who used to sing in Mutha's villa at Satara was called to Mahabaleshwar to the accompaniment of a harmonium and a dholak in the bracket drum. He sang the song of the new life. At the end of this singing, Baba slowly and gracefully got up and went out to bath, a must known as Babji. As Baba emptied mug after mug of water over Babji bare body, The must obviously enjoyed the bath. Baba also looked alive with the delight of some inner work done to his satisfaction. Bathing a must in the presence of all was an unusual event. Maybe it represented cleansing some sanskarats of the visitors through the medium of Babji, only a guess. The meeting was over. As some visitors began to leave the premises, a few tears rolled down their cheeks. With voices thick with emotion, they took their leave of the companions. Some looked very buoyant, while some were deeply absorbed in and impressed by the happenings at the meeting. Yet everyone definitely felt what a wonderful day, and the fullness of this feeling they left Mahabaleshwar. Nawab selling bidis and matchboxes. Nawab has some number one, some reference, I think. A Muhammadan title for the nobleman. Okay. Muhammadan title for the nobleman. Nawab selling bidis and matchboxes. On October 21st, Baba and companions offered the following prayer. Grant us your guidance, O Baba, most high, and stir up our hearts with your love, O Christ, the everlasting truth, that he may live the new life with a faithfulness that will endure to the end. The same day, as was planned earlier, Baba decided to commence the tour of India for his must work and his work with the poor. In the old life, he had personally contacted thousands of poor people in various villages and had given them a prasad, cloth, monkey, and food grains worth ten of thousands of rupees. It was not charity, but typical external activity to accomplish certain results on the inner planes of consciousness. How? Baba did not explain. Collecting and contacting poor in India was not very difficult, but during the forthcoming tour, Baba wished to offer large sums of money not to such individuals but to the heads of very poor families who were once rich and well to do. He did not reveal any reasons for such a preference. It was a new phase of his work with the poor. The Mandali never questioned Baba about his intention. They firmly believed that Baba's every action was completely selfless and that the divine will continuously manifested through him. They knew that if they wholeheartedly carried out Baba's instructions, however difficult that might be, Baba's inner guidance would lead them to the appropriate persons and places. On this tour, Pendu, Erech, Gustaji, and Baidul accompanied Baba. 33 families of the type mentioned above were contacted Baba in different states of India, viz. Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra. Only two such accounts are given here, but this narration will give some idea not only of the type of families contacted, but also the ways in which Baba delivered his financial assistance. Baba was in Hyderabad, in bracket Andhra, when the Mandali heard of a very wealthy Muslim Nawab who had literally become a pauper. In the earlier years, when he used to travel by train, he had his own special coach. He was wealthy enough to maintain elephants at his uh, palatial residence. But the tables of fortune turned, or rather, crashed to such a degree that it was now hard for him to earn his daily bread. Friends and relatives who had thrived on his money totally deserted him. What a word! The Mandali thought that the Nawab would be the kind of person that Baba would like to contact. So they made many inquiries about his whereabouts. At last, they learned that recently he had been staying on the open veranda of a sarai which afforded free lodging to the poor. There he had a small wooden crate in which he placed biddies and matchboxes for sale. This was his only source of income by which he had to feed himself and his wife. When Baba and the Mandali went there, they found that the man was ill and his wife had gone out to get some medicine, perhaps from a free dispensary. Erich told the man about Baba's intention to help him financially and explained the routine he followed before offering this help. The man agreed to all these conditions, so he was asked to move to the edge of the veranda. He dangled his legs over the low parapet. Baba swiftly but very lovingly washed and dried his feet with a towel. Then Baba bent down and placed his forehead on the feet of that Nawab. But as he was lifting his head, the old man suddenly collapsed and became unconscious. Luckily, one of the Mandali caught the man and prevented him from falling to the floor. Perhaps his heart could not contain the joy of receiving financial help so unexpectedly. Maybe Baba's tender touch overwhelmed him. Whatever the reason, this complicated the situation. The group of women who had been curious, watching the whole scene from a distance, drew closer, and out of sympathy for the old man, they raised a hue and cry, thinking him to be dead. A few even bit their breasts. They openly accused the party of killing an innocent person for nothing. Then the Mandali felt embarrassed, but the Baba looked calm and, and unperturbed. He asked his men to inquire if there were any responsible persons around who were related to Nawab, to whom the envelope containing the money could be given. In the indignant, in indignant tone, one among the crowd replied, "The old man's wife is his only relative, and had she has gone out to get medicine for him. Oh God, but of what avail is it now?" While the women were engaged in making some accusatory remarks about the party, Baba himself joined the Mandali in lifting the Nawab and making him rest on a bed which had an unclean, tattered bedsheet. They also sprinkled water over his face and continued to fan him so that he might regain consciousness. As it was getting very stuffy inside the room, the Mandali asked the crowd to disperse, but no one would listen. However, after a while, the man gradually opened his eyes and the Mandali heaved a sigh of relief, a sign of relief. The Nawab was alive. Just at this moment, the Nawab's wife arrived, and she was greatly no, Nawab's wife arrived, and she was greatly surprised to find people crowded inside the room, including few persons whom she did not know, and her husband looking very weird lying on the bed. With a bewildered look, she said to the Mandali, "Strangers, why are you harassing a sick person?" Eyes lit with gratitude, the Nawam softly muttered, "They are not strangers, but the God sent angels." His words calmed down the old lady and also elevated the prevailing confusion and hubbub. Erich look his, took this opportunity to speak with the Nawab's wife. He disclosed to her the purpose of their visit. He also introduced her to Baba as the elder brother who lovingly offered her the envelope containing the money. Eraj addressed her as follows: this is offered as a gift from God, and you will oblige us by accepting it. Baba also instructed her to use this amount toward their welfare. By this time, the atmosphere in the room had completely changed. The most of the people started praising and glorifying God. Baba, who would not wait a moment more when his work was done, left the place with the mandali almost unnoticed. The Nawab never knew whether the money received by him was a God sent help or the God man's prasad. No one from the mandali ever met this couple again. Perhaps such incidents in Baba's life are meant to set examples of how to render help selflessly and anonymously. Sincere prayer is never ignored. During this tour, Baba visited Madras and was moving through the city to contact musts. At midday, he consented to have coconut water, a very refreshing and cool drink of the south. Baba had a special liking for fresh coconut milk. He was standing under the shade of tree, and Erach went to the other side of the road to get the coconut dressed. In the meantime, Baba overheard some people talking at the pan shop about a person who had once been rich but whom the wheel of fate had reduced to a pitiable state. On Baba's instruction, Eraj approached the panwala and told him of his big brother's intention to help some respectable poor families. The panwala narrated the whole story, including the name of that unfortunate person and also that of the contractor who had swindled him and uh, usurped, usurped his newly built home at Gudur in Tamil Nadu. Hearing the report, Baba decided to leave for Gudur immediately by the first available train. It was a journey of 2 to 3 hours. At Gudur, Baba, Pendu, Baidul, and Gustaji waited at the railway station. Erach left to find the house where the person whom Baba intended to contact lived. He knew the name of the contractor who had finagled this way into getting possession of this man's new building. With this clue, he first found that particular building and knocked on the door. A person with diamond rings on his fingers opened the door and politely said, "What can I do for you, sir?" Eraj told him the name of the person Baba wished to contact and added, "I hear that he is in dire need of help. My brother wants to help him. Can you tell me his address?" At this, the mood of the contractor changed. He even huh. He even looked a bit annoyed and said, "Sorry, I do not know." But at this point, a boy who was not even in his teens come out from the inside and said, "Sir, I will show you the house of this person." This boy was either the son of the contractor or someone living in this family. The man got angry with the boy, but Erach skillfully interrupted. "Why do you not allow him to come with me, sir? I shall be thankful to you for this." The boy willingly led the way while Erach followed him. They crossed some lanes and by lanes, and Erach was all the time observing their route, trying to remember the shops they passed, since he would later have to take Baba there. By a narrow lane, there was a row of adjoining houses. It was late in the evening. From a distance, the boy said, "You see that the house? You see that house? I mean that door, which has which has no small clay lamps with lighted wicks in front of it. Uh, that is, yeah, on Diwali day, it is the custom for Hindus to have near the outer doors and windows small clay lamps filled with oil lit by wicks in the early hours of the morning and in the late evening. These are kept burning for hours. Hence, Diwali is known as Festival of Lights. Yeah, that is the house of the man who wished to meet. So, saying the boy quickly left Erech and hastened home. It was Diwali day, but that particular house had no lamps lit before its doors. Standing at the door, Erech saw in the semi-darkness a young girl with her back to the door, standing before life-sized statue of Lord Krishna. She was absorbed in prayer. 10 minutes passed, and her prayers continued. Finally, not wishing to keep Baba waiting too long at the station, Erech lightly knocked on the door. The girl turned her gaze and invited Erech inside. She must have been well-educated girl, for she spoke in fluent English. Within a few minutes, Erech received corroboration of the information they had gathered at Madras. As he stepped into the room, he saw the girl's father, who was very ill, lying on the floor. He was an invalid. In other corner of the room was her sick mother. What a miserable situation. Except for the statue of Krishna, there was no other furniture in this room. Obviously, circumstances had forced them to sell what they had. Eraj explained to the girl that his brother, out of his compassion for all, wished to render some financial help to her father, and that he had especially come to Gudur from Bombay. He asked her to stay home till he returned there with his brother, who was waiting at the railway station. Erach met Baba, who was very eager to hear his report. Within a few minutes, Baba, accompanied by Pendu and Erach, left by Tonga to visit this particular family. It was unusual that the Tongas in the city were drawn by bullocks instead of horses. Erach, with his excellent memory, directed the Tonga to the correct lane. The young girl was at home, and the single little oil lamp was dimly burning inside the room. Erach explained that before giving financial help, his brother had to observe certain formalities. Her father, who was running a high fever, was made to sit on his bed. He was asked to put his feet in a basin. Baba washed his feet with a lukewarm water and dried them with a soft towel. All these things, including water, were carried by the mandali whenever Baba used to go for such work. At the close of at the close of the contact, when Baba handed over the packet of currency notes worth 500 rupees to a person, Erach repeated in a soft voice, "My brother says that this money given by loving hearts for deserving and needy person is now offered to you. You should not take it as a charity or feel yourself under any obligation, uh, whatsoever. Please consider it as a gift of love." These words brought tears to the eyes of the old man. Baba left the house as soon as the work was over. Eraj thanked the girl. She took so amazed that she could not express her feelings in words. As the Baba party was leaving the house, Erach saw her standing again before the statue of Lord Krishna, saying, "How compassionate you are, O Lord! How quickly you respond to our prayers." Little did she know that in her case, the Lord of the age himself had blessed the whole family. Owing to their dire poverty, on the Diwali day, the family had not been able to decorate their house with small clay lamps for light, but Baba's presence must have lit the hearts of the trio, a real celebration of Diwali, the festival of lights. The God man bestows his blessings with such consummate skill that the recipient is not aware of the treasure conferred on him. The work of the work of helping poor families led the Baba party to Bihar, where the people were severely affected by the flooding of the Kosi River. Baba visited the interior parts of the state. After reaching Jhanjarpur and Madhupur in the district of Darbhanga, Baba walked through the ravaged village to contact poor afflicted villagers. He gave 5 rupees to each of the persons, male or female. He contacted Baba's trip symbolized his silent participation in the suffering of the people. 11 well-off families who were severely affected by the floods also received substantial financial help at Baba's hands.
I think we'll stop here. I
Yeah.
just wanted to finish that episode because it was so interesting uh,
Yeah.
on finding that particular person and giving that money. So anyway, it was a nice Diwali that that family probably celebrated. Baba, as usual, presented a surprise without giving any full details, but that's Baba's way. So, any thoughts before we can wrap up? Thank you so much to all of you for joining, and thank you so much for to Ashish for reading.
Thank you, Jay Baba.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. So let's connect.
One, Karthik, one question. Sometimes the
Yeah,
Baba doesn't, he goes anonymous or doesn't disclose that he is the avatar of the age. And sometimes he goes with mandali or is doing his spiritual work. What could be the reason behind going anonymous?
I think it's very difficult to answer that question. So it's basically to do with the ability of the souls to recognize and react to his true nature, right? And their readiness to receive that. So I think we can't comment on what, when he does what. Sanjay ji wants to say something.
Other thing is during the new life, he was living a life of an ordinary man. So especially during that period, he has never revealed himself or said anything. It's only after the new life was over and he was in a Amirpur that he was declared that he was a Pharaoh publicly. 9th of February 2.
True.
So during new life, he was living a life of an ordinary. That's one.
And he was absolutely retaining his, not announcing his true nature. True. No, but when he decided to reveal and when he didn't was completely left to his judgment and his
Yeah,
superior wisdom, which was linked to obviously his work.
yes, that applies to everything he did. Like
Exactly.
letting people to see him or letting people stay with him or returning them back.
Correct, correct. Mhm.
This way,
It's not random, but it's unpredictable.
it's not known to us. It's not,
That's all. That's all. Exactly.
yeah,
It's when I
not
say it's
known.
not random, it's
Yeah,
obviously with
not,
the design of his, but we
yeah,
don't know what that
we
design
can't,
is.
we can't decipher the reasons. No, neither we should
Correct.
probably attempt. Jai Baba.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jai
Thank you
Baba.
for stretching and thanks for the lovely session. Uh, let's connect back tomorrow for God Speaks. Yeah. Tar Meher Baba ki jai.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.